Pochettino's USA just destroyed Paraguay.
Down the right side of the defence again, should be two! This is Reyna. Oh, yeah!
I cannot believe what my eyes have just seen. Wow. The most complete performance.
4 goals, total domination. And the rest of this tournament should be genuinely terrified.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore.
Pulisic picks up the ball wide left. 2 defenders close him down. He splits both of them with a surgical through ball to Balogun. And Balogun finishes it first time. 1 touch, composed. Then watch Balogun. He runs off the last defender's shoulder, beats his man, cuts onto his left foot, and puts it top corner. Clinical, ruthless, exactly the kind of football nobody expected from this team. And here's the thing about Paraguay, they didn't concede many goals. Not against Argentina, not against Uruguay, not against Brazil.
And so, like you said, Paraguay has had big games in the past in CONMEBOL where they qualified, beaten Argentina, beaten Brazil. I think they beat both of them at some point in the 18 game.
Under their coach across all of World Cup qualifying, they gave up just 6 goals total. 6 against the best South America had, and tonight, in under 90 minutes, the United States put 4 past them.
This is the same Paraguayan national team that qualified in CONMEBOL with 28 points. 28 points was the same amount of points that Brazil had, I believe Uruguay as well. If Paraguay had 1 more point, they would have qualified in 3rd, only behind Ecuador and Argentina. They had the 2nd best defense in CONMEBOL with only 10 goals conceded in 18 games. Did you hear that? They conceded 10 goals in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying in 18 games, and we scored 4 in 1 single game in the World Cup.
Pochettino has built something the rest of this tournament wasn't ready for. So, how terrified should they actually be? Coming into tonight, the noise around this team wasn't confidence. It was doubt, real doubt. Pochettino's tenure hadn't exactly silenced the critics. The USA didn't play qualifiers as a co-host nation. So, every friendly and warm-up result got put under a microscope, and plenty of what people saw didn't convince them. A section of the fanbase had spent months arguing Jesse Marsch should have gotten the job instead. The pressure of a home World Cup in a country where soccer still fights for attention against the NFL, the NBA, and everything else sat heavy on this squad before a ball was kicked. Outside the stadium, it was already a circus.
There's been no buzz about this national team leading up to this. And all of a sudden to see that crowd last night and to hear it the way that it was, it flipped the script in so many ways.
Future performing a pre-match concert. Katy Perry in the stands. Tom Cruise somewhere in the crowd. Over 70,000 packed into LA Stadium. The kind of atmosphere that can either lift a team or drown them in expectation.
Let's go! World Cup opening!
And then there was the lineup itself. This was the first time Pochettino had ever fielded this exact starting 11 together. Chris Richards had been out injured, and his return meant the backline Pochettino wanted, the one he'd been building towards, was finally on the field at the same time. No dry run, no warm-up match with this group. Game 1 of the World Cup. Paraguay knew what they were doing. They weren't here to attack. They came in structured, low, disciplined. The same defensive identity that had fractured South America's elite for months. The plan was to absorb, frustrate, and make the crowd go quiet. It almost looked like it might work for about 6 minutes. Then, Pulisic got the ball wide, drew a double team, 2 Paraguay defenders collapsing on him, and split them. Ball into the box, McKennie arriving, a scramble, and Bobadilla turned it into his own net. 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Paraguay's entire reason for being there, that disciplined low block, collapsed before they'd even had time to settle into it. The crowd didn't go quiet. It went nuclear. What came next was the part that should genuinely worry the rest of this tournament.
Well, actually, for me, it was after the first goal, because I was expecting the US to just maybe sit back a little bit. But they didn't do that. They just kept banging on with what they were doing, and that was the encouraging thing, because it seemed normal for them. They didn't think about keeping the lead. You wanted another one.
Because this wasn't a team riding adrenaline and chaos, it was a team executing a plan. 65% possession, 598 completed passes. That's not a counter-attacking team nicking a result on the break. That's a team that suffocated Paraguay for 45 straight minutes and made it look controlled the entire time.
I think the first 45 minutes they were completely controlling the whole game with the ball and against the ball, and I think scoring then the goals, I think the bravery, the discipline in the game, it was just a perfect 45 minutes.
Paraguay couldn't breathe, they couldn't build, they couldn't switch the ball across to relieve pressure because the US midfield cut the field in half and never gave them the 60-yard switch they needed to escape. The blueprint was specific. Pulisic and McKennie were pushed wide, stretching Paraguay's shape. Then, as Paraguay tried to track those two, third-man runners arrived into the final third, late and at speed. At any given moment, the US had 5 or 6 players entering the box simultaneously, arriving from different angles. Pick up one, lose 3 others. Paraguay's defenders were constantly one step behind, forced into individual errors they wouldn't normally make. When Paraguay dropped into a full low block after going 2 down, sitting deep, no space behind them, nowhere to transition, most teams slowed down. Pochettino adjusted. Deep midfield movement, zip runs in behind the defensive line, quick combinations to pull defenders out of shape.
Yesterday I saw a modern manager, high press, 2-0 up, you're still going forward, the high line's right on the halfway line. Paraguay did not come to play football. They came to say, we're going to sit back, we're going to absorb, we're going to hit out on the counter through our quick attackers. They couldn't breathe. They couldn't sniff the ball.
The system didn't panic when the space disappeared. It found different space. Behind all of that movement, Tyler Adams was doing the work nobody talks about until it's not there. As the holding midfielder, the 6, Adams covered every loose ball, every second ball, every moment where an attacker's run left a gap. Because of him, Pulisic, McKennie, and Tillman had the freedom to go as deep as they wanted, into attack, knowing someone was behind them cleaning up. That freedom isn't free. Adams earned it on every single possession. At centre-back, Chris Richards completed 83 passes from 83 attempts.
Chris Richards, great to see him fit back, bolstering the back line.
83 passes out of 83 passes, incredible.
Perfect. Not one giveaway. Not one cheap turnover that handed Paraguay a transition. The US didn't just dominate the ball, they were airtight with it. And that combination, pressing intensity at the top and 0 errors at the bottom, meant Paraguay never got a cheap moment to build from. And then there was Malik Tillman.
Tillman to me might have been the best performer. He was incredible. He played in the double pivot with Tyler Adams, as I told you guys that he would. Some people were questioning me, but based on what Pochettino said and was doing, Tillman would be in the double pivot. He was good on defense, good on the counter press, brilliant on the ball. Tillman was fantastic.
If you hadn't fully clocked him before tonight, you have no excuse now. Box to box, silky on the ball, relentless off it. He recovered possession like a midfielder who genuinely hates the other team having the ball. 2-footed, creative going forward, physical going backward. Hercules Gomez on ESPN called him exceptional. Chef's kiss, something else. And he wasn't wrong. Tillman gave this US team a dual threat in midfield that most opponents won't have a ready answer for.
If I had to pick somebody who I just thought was exceptional, chef's kiss, it would be Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman is something else. Malik Tillman is a special breed of footballer. And the US men's national team today had a dual threat. A player that's box to box and is silky smooth and creates nonstop, but has an intensity to recoup the ball like I've not seen in quite some time. I thought he was outstanding today.
The system was the story tonight, but the individuals running it made the system terrifying. All of that passing, all of that movement, all of that tactical precision. It only matters if someone actually puts the ball in the net. And that's where Folarin Balogun walked into a World Cup and announced himself to the planet.
It showed another level. He scored one with his right, he scored one with his left, but also he showed that he could create goals for himself.
2 goals, 5 attempts, 3 on target. His expected goals for the night sat at .44, meaning statistically, a striker in his position, with those chances, scores less than 1 goal on average. He scored twice. That gap between what the numbers say should happen and what actually happened is called clinical instinct, and it's the rarest thing in football. You can coach a striker's movement, you can coach his positioning, his runs, his hold-up play. You cannot coach that final moment where the ball is coming at him fast and awkward and he puts it exactly where the goalkeeper isn't. His second goal should tell you everything about what kind of 9 he is. He made the run off the last defender's shoulder, timed it perfectly to stay onside. The ball ricocheted to him in a messy way. A lesser striker controls it, takes a touch, loses half a second, and the chance is gone. Balogun took the ricochet, showed enough physical strength to hold the defender off, cut inside onto his left foot, and put it top corner.
Balogun goal is just a little bit more impressive to me because his ability to fight off that first defender and then be able to beat another man and then to put it top corner with his left foot, that is truly amazing goal.
Composed, precise, with no right to be either in that moment. When's the last time an American forward scored 2 goals in a World Cup game? 1930. Not Landon Donovan, not Clint Dempsey, not Brian McBride. Guys who defined what a US striker could be in a World Cup. Players who gave everything. Never had this game. Balogun just had it in 1 game. Pulisic, for his part, was the reason any of it was possible. 1 assist on the night, 2 big chances created, completing 3 of 5 dribbles, and finishing with 82% passing accuracy overall, and 100% in his own half, meaning he never once gave the ball away under pressure in his own defensive zone. He was the architect of everything good the US did going forward in the first half, constantly dragging defenders toward him so runners could arrive into the space he created.
And what I saw from Christian Pulisic in this game was simply incredible. He was blown by defenders with ease, finding his teammates, combining. He's a streaky player.
When he drew that double team on the first goal, he knew what he was doing. That was a decision, not an accident. He came off at half-time with a calf issue. Pochettino said afterwards it was precautionary, no serious concern. And here's the thing, the US still scored a 4th. Gio Reyna came off the bench, and within minutes, he'd put away one of the most technically beautiful goals of the game, outside of the foot, curling into the corner. Your captain goes off, your best creator isn't on the field, and your substitute scores a finish that'll be on highlight reels for weeks. That's squad depth. That's a team, not 11 individuals. One note of caution before the hype fully takes over, the 2002 US team beat Portugal 3-2 in their opener, one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. They tied Poland next, then lost to them by multiple goals in the final group game, and nearly went home early. One great result can trick a team into thinking the work is done. Pochettino won't let that happen. He's managed at PSG, Chelsea, and Tottenham. He knows exactly how quickly a tournament can turn. But this wasn't a 2002-style shock built on chaos and a goalkeeper having the game of his life. It was 598 passes, tactical adjustments mid-game, a striker scoring goals no American has scored at a World Cup in nearly a century, and a bench player coming on to score something outrageous.
This is the best offense the US men's national team has ever had in the history of the program. And I'm not exaggerating, and that's why this was the first team to score 4 goals in 1 game in US men's national team World Cup history against an opponent that I'm going to say once again, they were one of the best defenses in South America in World Cup qualifying.
Australia is next, then Turkey. The real tests are still coming. The problem for every team watching tonight's film session, they now have to find an answer for a USA that can possess, press, create in volume, and finish. Good luck with that. Subscribe and follow along. This team might just keep being a problem.